Wow, I'm 33 years old. How did I live my life so long without ever having seen this movie? Suddenly everything makes more sense now. Internet memes, the after credit scene to Deadpool, those Domino's pizza commercials starring young John Ralphio from Stranger Things. Okay, maybe I'm stepping a little far on that last one, but certainly everything else makes more sense. And heck, if those things make more sense, then did I really want to watch this movie to begin with? Well, there's only one way to say it. Yeah, despite this movie being about as old as I am, albeit off by a few years, I've never actually seen it once, which is kind of odd considering how much of it lives in our everyday lives. I mean, I'm pretty certain I've seen certain nods in other forms of media. I remember an episode of The Adventures of Pete and Pete that clearly showed inspiration. There's possibly others, but that one's come specifically to mind. Anyway, as I'm sure most, if not all, of you are aware, this movie is about the title character, Ferris Bueller, portrayed by Matthew Broderick, who takes a day off of school by faking sick. He then gathers his neurotic best friend, Cameron, portrayed by Alan Rook, who actually is homesick, and together they break Ferris's girlfriend Sloane, portrayed by Mia Sara, out of school by feigning a death in the family, and head to Chicago for a Zest for Life trip. Meanwhile, Dean of Students Rooney, portrayed by Jeffrey Jones, and Ferris's sister Jeannie, portrayed by Jennifer Grey, both separately try to prove the deception Ferris and his friends cause on everyone with comical setbacks. Having seen this movie, I can understand why the film continues to appeal to us as an audience. It's hilarious! Kind of reminding this viewer of a full-length live-action Looney Tunes cartoon, and it appeals to anyone who ever wanted to take a day out of their everyday existence and do whatever they want. In other words, it appeals to practically everyone. I especially enjoy the title character, Ferris Bueller. Independent, clever, generally laid back, and in control of his own existence and environment. He kind of reminds me of a trickster, the sort of figure in mythology that has always fascinated me. Mischievous, deceptive, a situation inverter, and a bit of an amateur shapeshifter, as evidenced by the scene when he dresses up in a hat and trench coat in disguise as Sloane's father to pick her up from school, effectively fooling Dean Rooney into believing he's actually Sloane's father. And true to form, Rooney doesn't even wise up otherwise until after Ferris and his friends have left, much like a trickster's foil in the mythological stories would. He walks the world, disobeys normal rules and conventional behavior, but he's not really baleful or malevolent. Most of the time, he's attempting to teach his friend Cameron, a rule follower who does behave conventionally, to come out of his shell and enjoy life a little. He's really in it to get Cameron to lighten up and enjoy himself more. The one problem I have to this movie, I'd say spoiler alert, but let's be honest, I'm probably the only person in the whole human race who hasn't seen this movie until now. Anyway, near the end, when Cameron wrecked his father's car and says he'll take the fall instead of Ferris, in order to confront his father, who would care more about the car than he would Cameron, my one problem, and it's my only problem to this movie as a whole, is that you really don't get to watch that confrontation. I mean, call me a morbid prude if you must, but I can't possibly be the only one who was curious about how that confrontation turned out. Can I? Knock it off. I mean, Ferris and Sloane just leave him in the garage and left his fate ambiguous. Anyway, that's my only gripe to this film. Otherwise, enjoyable from beginning to end. Oh, Domino's Pizza, if you're watching this, do you think you could have Jean Ralphio Kid from Stranger Things do other Matthew Broderick homages other than this one? War Games? Ladyhawke? Any of those would be fascinating to watch. Mix it up a little. Ferris Bueller's Day Off wasn't Matthew Broderick's only 80s movie, after all. I'm Mike, and this has been a Penguins Rock production. You're still here? It's over. Subscribe. Go. Chicka chicka.